I am very interested in how the customer base perceives marketing because
Mm.
we put out marketing content, we see sales, but how does the customer really perceive it? What do they say? Oh, this is cool, or like, these guys are lame. Hard to say. It's just one of those kind of holy grail type questions.
Hello, everyone. It's Sean from Thrive with another episode of the Power Up, where I meet with successful small business owners and operators to learn about their business strategy so you can take their insights and level up your own business. Once your business is ready to expand, knowing where to start can be overwhelming. Our guests have some creative solutions for how they've tackled tricky problems and turned them into growth opportunities. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Our guest today is Kevin Gross. He's the production manager of Right to Bear, and he's on the podcast with us today. Our right2bear.com is a veteran-owned and operated business that eliminates the frustrations of long lead times and out-of-stock gun parts and gear. With fast 72-hour shipping and no back orders, customer satisfaction is their top priority. They have also added a sister company that manufactures barrels at their facility to have even more control over the product and experience they can provide their customers with. Kevin, you ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit more about Right to Bear, and then also I'd love to know about this sister company you guys have going on now.
Sure thing. Right to Bear. Wow, we've been operating for about 12 or so years now. The founder and owner is a good friend of mine. He and I, we served in the Navy together, actually. And he started this business out of his apartment years ago. Fast forward to now, we've got a number of we have a number of employees, and we're just trying to keep up with the orders here. Like you'd said, we did stand up our own barrel manufacturing company here on site, and we're definitely happy with that. It's been pretty exciting watching that side of the business grow. And since we've done that, we've been able to really reach a different level of satisfaction with our customers, as far as customers that buy direct from our website, as well as other companies who can purchase in bulk from us.
Sure. That's great. So have you personally, did you say 12 years? Is that the length of the company?
That's an estimate. I can't remember the exact day when it all came together.
Yeah, somewhere around there though. Okay. How did the company start, and what are what did it start doing something else and it's morphed into this larger larger entity? Like, what were you guys doing out of your buddy's apartment, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So it was sort of that mindset of enthusiasts and people who like to build AR-15s. So you kind of get a better price when you purchase multiples of one item. We realized actually the founder and the owner, he realized that he wanted to purchase maybe a box of this part and then sell the rest on gunbroker.com. I think he was using Gunbroker and Gun Farms, so that we could have the parts to build for ourselves, right? You just make a little bit of money on each of the other ones, and then you have the parts to build for yourselves to continue that hobby going forward. So that's like the beginning. That was the whole, I guess you'd say, inspiration for it all. So with that, there showed a little bit of promise. I actually moved to Florida. So that started in Maryland years ago, and I moved to Florida before the founder did. He ended up kind of not following me, but he ended up moving back down. He moved down to Florida a little bit, a couple years after myself. And I was trying to get a job in the aerospace industry. And he continued the business out of his house. He was working out of his house. I mean, there's stuff out of his garage. And I would come by and help him out from time to time, kind of a hungry college kid. Well, I
Hmm.
wasn't a kid anymore. We'd already been in the Navy, so I was in my 20s. But regardless, wanted to help him out. He says, "Look, I'd like to have you on full time. I mean, I really use your help all the time." So I gave up my dreams in aerospace, and we started we started working out of his house. We had another ex-marine working with us at the time. Next thing you
Hmm.
know, the orders picked up, and we decided we needed to move into a warehouse. And that was like, geez, that was easily 2015
Okay.
when that happened. So then we started working
Sure.
out of the warehouse.
No, that's wonderful. So, how did you guys make the decision to, stand up the second business to manufacture barrels? So, like, why barrels of all things? Was that the most expensive product and the lowest margin for you guys to resell? Like, why specifically barrels?
Barrels definitely have, I would say, a favorable margin if you
Okay.
are the manufacturer. However, the machinery and the equipment that is required to set that up is definitely not cheap stuff. I mean, it's some really really big machinery. Um, but the barrels, we wanted to start. Well, we were partnering with another very large barrel manufacturer, and they allowed us to. It was kind of co-branding. They allowed us to OEM and co-brand their barrels and put our name on it. And that was great because they're definitely one of the bigger names in the business. However, there were certain nitpicking criteria that we had that would fall short at times. And it was such a pain, and it was very much a hassle to
Hmm.
actually get those little details ironed out when we weren't the people who were actually manufacturing the barrels. So it was around 2020. We were fortunate in that time to benefit from an uptick in online sales. So it just felt like probably one of the best choices that we could have made in terms of where do we want to go with this? How are we going to take this opportunity for growth? We already had our name on these barrels, and we already had a good reputation that was essentially, built based off of someone else's barrels, because
Hmm.
that was kind of known. It was kind of known throughout our customer base that, oh,
Yeah.
the right to bear barrels are basically from this company. Um, but it was never, it was kind of like one of those best kept but not really kept secrets sort of things.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting.
but it was a great launch pad. It was a perfect platform for us to take what we knew we could do as far as quality and step it up a couple of notches. And that's
Got it.
exactly what we did.
So why start a whole new business entity? Why not just spin off a product line inside of Right to Bear?
Well, we wanted it to also have the ability to kind of have its own name, have its own, um, I guess, little micro verse that it is established in. I mean, it's even not even on this side of our wall. We have a whole wall connecting the machine shop from like the right to bear warehouse side of things. But there are some financial aspects to that as far as standing up companies and LLCs. Um, However, one of the main things is we wanted it to be able to stand on its own, and right to bear is going to be the main beneficiary, if you will. So,
Mm,
so our barrel company is selling to many other companies, wholesale, OEM,
okay.
whereas right to bear is kind of we were the first customer.
I see. Interesting. That's very cool. How long has this second business been going for? The barrel.
So we've had it fully operational for about 2.5 years now.
Okay. How many wholesale customers would you say you have? Just like a ballpark.
Oh, honestly, there is another sales guy that has that information way better, but ballpark. I want to say easily 20, easily 20 regular customers that are ordering on a weekly basis, just shoot from the hip.
Interesting. That's very cool. Is this the barrel side of the fence? Is this where you're spending more of your time? Is this more quickly growing, or is right to bear still growing at a great clip? Where is it at?
Right to bear is it's not growing wildly.
Okay,
We were able to utilize some of that growth, like I said earlier, in this decade. We're kind of trying to keep that going right now. I definitely want to help facilitate as much growth in art and right to bear as possible. But it's steady. It's like a very organic, very steady kind of a trajectory right now. Whereas the barrel manufacturing side of things, that is pretty much growing as fast as it can. And we are attempting to keep up with the demands and all of the sales there.
that's great.
Now, I focus mainly on the right to bear side personally.
Okay. How do you happen to know how your because everyone's lots of our audience are curious about getting into wholesale at some capacity, especially if they're manufacturing their own products. So how do you go from potentially zero regular wholesale customers 2.5 years ago to 20 now, or door to door walking around and knocking and putting out pamphlets, or what are you doing? What's the strategy there?
Well, we are lucky to have a lot of connections through right to bear. So a lot of our vendors that we purchase things from may also need barrels. Okay. If there's a company who they build their own rifles, then it's pretty likely that we already knew who they were going to be getting their barrels from. But I guess to kind of stay on topic with your question, we reached out. We reached out to people who we knew would potentially be in the market for barrels. So there was a lot of canvassing, not necessarily door to door, but through our contacts that we already had. And so you can never downplay the value of solid networking. I mean, that's just huge. But outside of networking and utilizing our vendors that we were already familiar with or other people that we've worked with in the past, there's a huge gun convention every year in Las Vegas. It's called SHOT Show.
Okay.
And we have been there past couple of years as a vendor, and we have a booth, and we're out there trying to promote our product.
That's great. So did I hear, to try to find some of these, new wholesale customers, you actually looked into your vendor network for right to bear from who you're buying from wholesale, and you sold into them. So you turned them into your customers as well with the barrel side. Is that somewhat correct?
Yes.
That's super interesting. Okay. That's really, really smart. So good work there. Cool. Okay. How do you guys, do you do anything with like repeat customers, any sort of like loyalty programs, come back, 5 times a month to get 20% off, anything along those lines?
Are you referring to right to bear in general?
Sure. Either take it however you want. Yeah. Right to bear in the barrel side, anyone. Yeah.
We don't have an exact like loyalty program set up. It's something that we'd be interested in implementing in the future. Some of our competitors definitely have those kinds of programs in place, and I'm sure it helps their business. We do have loyal customers. When we are able to take notice to that, we attempt to really take care of them as best as we can. As far as maybe a little extra attention, say, hey, we noticed that this happened with one of your orders, and that's subpar, especially by our standards, especially for someone like you. So we try to give them a little special, little attention, a little special touch there.
Yeah.
If we definitely notice that, these guys have been coming back, they spend lots of money here, we want them to keep coming back. We're going to try and facilitate that as much as we can.
That's great. Okay, well, let's before we get into it, I have 5 rapid fire questions to wrap this up. But before we get into that, is there anything I'm not asking that you wish I would ask that you wanna dig into a little bit?
Um, you know, off the cuff here, I would just say that, you know, I am very interested in how the customer base perceives marketing. And that's not something
Mm.
that I can actually answer. So you asking me that, I wouldn't really have an answer for you. I think it's a much bigger conversation. I don't know if it's something that you guys cover in in your podcast or not. But that is something that just, it gets my mind going because
Mm.
we put out marketing content, we see sales, but how does the customer really perceive it? What are they saying? Or are they like, oh, this is cool? Or like, these guys are lame? Hard to say. And I'd love to know. It's just one of those kind of, you know, holy grail type questions.
Yeah. Are you talking about how like the psychology of like, when the customer sees your guys' marketing, material out there, like how do they respond to it and how does that connect to a sale at some capacity in a way? Is that what you're trying to get to?
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So I mean that's a pretty good segue into my first rapid fire question here. But what would you say is your fastest growing sales or marketing channel for either of your businesses?
We have a robust email marketing system that we have set up. It's pretty regular, and there's a very large email list that we have at our disposal.
Okay. What do you guys use for your email marketing tool?
We use Constant Contact.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it. I'm used to it now. I don't have a lot of experience with, say, MailChimp. I know is another huge competitor, so I really can't compare it in that respect. But I'm pretty used to Constant Contact, and it's user friendly for the most
Okay.
part.
And what inside of email marketing drives the most results? Do you have like a monthly newsletter? Do you have like, a drip campaign following up after the first purchase to try to get them back? What's the best part of email marketing for you?
Well, typically we have a weekly email that goes out showing our customers that these are our deals. This is the big sale that's going on, especially when it comes time for holidays. To kind of supplement that, in the past couple of years, a colleague and I had implemented just a once a week. These are our new products. So anytime we have some new products that are on our shelves and we're to tell people about them, we will we will say, hey, these are new products. Come check them out.
Cool.
Outside of that, I personally head up a um, it's called Workbench Wednesday, which is it's an informative blog that helps people to understand um, different parts of the AR-15 platform or the Glock platform. Basically, as long as it's a product that we do sell, we try to get a little disambiguation there, some tips and tricks, and some helpful information that really, hopefully, if there are some customers who maybe feel a little uncomfortable, because not everyone feels comfortable with guns, right?
Sure.
Um, Especially in our market, we have a person who's a complete novice, or
Mhm.
someone who could, field strip up AR-15 blindfolded. I mean, it's
Mhm.
entire spectrum. So I just want to be able to make this information accessible to the people who may feel less comfortable than those blindfold field strippers.
Yeah, totally. I remember my first time operating one. I'm sure most people do. So that's great. You guys do that. Number two. So what is your favorite resource? It can be like a blog or a YouTube channel or a book, anything like that to grow your skills or to grow your business.
For me, I get blogs and emails from marketing gurus personally. Um, but I also really enjoy just getting into the forums. So the forums that have to do with our products, I wouldn't say help sharpen my skills, but it helps keep an ear to the ground. So keeping an ear to the ground, listening to what the customers are talking about. and trying to understand what it is they want. What is the newest, hottest product to them? So,
who's your favorite marketing guru?
So I listened. Well, I subscribe to Marketing Millennials because I am myself a millennial, and that's one that I read pretty regularly.
Okay, cool. Number 3, what's one piece of technology that you cannot live without in your business?
Oh, well, it's definitely become a crutch recently. Not a crutch, a very, very extremely useful tool, and that is ChatGPT. I've been using that as in any way I possibly can nowadays, just to really cut down my time. Because we had a recent, like a couple of key players moved on to different things here, and I find myself with a lot on my plate. So anything to help me to really move through things quickly.
For someone that's not familiar with ChatGPT, give them a use case for your business, something that you run through it that's been super helpful.
Super helpful for my business. If I am trying to add a product to the website and as quickly as I can, rather than sitting there typing out a complete product description, rich in SEO, which is search engine optimization. I hope most people may know that. I can ask ChatGPT to find the product in other places on the internet to craft a nice SEO rich description and give it to me in HTML code format so I can drop it right into my WYSIWYG, my HTML editor.
That's awesome. Love that application. That's great. Number 4, what would be a piece of advice that you would have for business owners ready to start really growing their business?
Oh boy. Well, a piece of advice, what I was touching on prior to this last question was keeping your ears to the ground for what the customers want. That's huge. Because if you are unable to get the customers exactly what they're looking for, then you're really going to have a trouble selling, and especially selling at a pace that's going to allow you some growth. The other thing is there's that tightrope. There's that balancing act of taking risks and watching the penny. So we did a lot of pinching those pennies early on, trying to ensure that we were saving as much money as we possibly could in areas that wouldn't make our service suffer or the product suffer for the customer. So
that's great.
Cut those costs wherever possible. But then if you have that, you got that gut feeling that this is going to be the shot that you need to take on something that could potentially take off, I say go for it.
Cool. All right. Number 5. Where can our listeners find you? So website, Instagram, Facebook, all the different places you guys are at.
Yeah, we are on Facebook and Instagram. You should be able to find us on Instagram at right_to_bear, I believe. And then right to bear arms and supply should come right up on Facebook as well. Honestly, our SEO is pretty good. We are right2bear.com. So if you just type in right to bear on Google, hit enter, we should be one of the first, if not the first, results there on Google.
That's great. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Power Up by Thrive. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into strategies that you can use to grow your business. If you're ready to take these ideas into the real world, head over to thrivemetrics.com. That's THRIVEMETRICS.com to sign up for a 30-day free trial of our business management software.